Hey guys, so today we have Josh with REI Black Book, and my business partner Ryan Wessels is on the line as well to kind of tag team this interview with Josh. Josh has been on before, and we had some really good trainings before. If you haven't checked them out yet, there was on like kind of like website design page for converting traffic. Was one that we really kind of powwowed about, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He gets to see real estate businesses from a different perspective because he works for a company called REI Black Book, which is a really good CRM tool, client relationship management tool to help you convert more deals. And anyway, so I always look forward to when we have Josh on because he has a lot of great insights. He sees things a little bit differently than what most agents and investors see things at. And we were going to kind of powwow on just a lot of things, marketing, and in particular, some call tracking, kind of talking about setting that up, why that's important as well. And so Josh, why don't you kind of give a quick little background in case people haven't heard you before, and kind of fill new people in, and then we'll get started.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. So I love hopping on the show. Love the podcast. So my name's Josh Harris. I'm the director of marketing at REI Black Book. And like Jim said, REI Black Book is a kind of an all-in-one tool, marketing automation platform, CRM for real estate investors. And so I've been with REI Black Book going on 7 years, at the beginning of March this year. So over the last 7 years, got to see, the insides of a lot of different real estate businesses. We work with primarily real estate investors, but a lot of our clients are also, real estate agents, whether they have like a brokerage arm of their business or, they're real estate agents that also invest in real estate themselves. Regardless, I've got to see the insides of a lot of different businesses and really what works and what doesn't, and, what it looks like for a real estate business that has, 10, 15, 20 employees, all the way down to your investor that's just doing it themselves and really trying to build more of a lifestyle business. And there's really no right or wrong way to do it. Regardless of what you're trying to do, there's some fundamentals that you need to have in place to build a business that's really predictable and sustainable, and one that meets your goals. At the end of the day, if you want to close a couple deals a month and travel a bunch with your family, that's great. If you want to build a big business like Jim and Ryan have, and have employees and have, folks that are on your team, that's great too. But the fundamentals kind of remain the same, regardless if you're one person or 20. And really what we talk a lot about here when we help investors do is build the systems that really drive the business, that run the business. So whether you're doing it on your own or you have a team, the business continues to grow. Or at least produce the results that you want it to produce.
Okay, so expand a little bit on the fundamentals remain the same, because I think that's a powerful statement, and I want to know more about that.
Sure. So what I mean by that is, with any business, regardless if you're in real estate or if you're a plumber or you're a loan officer or an attorney, you need to have a healthy flow of leads and prospects coming in the door, right? So leads for any business is like the oxygen for your business. And if your lead flow is constricted, if you have, if you go 2, 3, 4 months without a solid amount of new leads coming in the door, then you're kind of like on life support, right? You can still pop out a couple deals here and there, but it's not predictable. So the first thing is you need to have a predictable source of leads coming in. That would be, kind of fundamental number one. And then you have to have a predictable and reliable way to take those leads and convert them into appointments and offers and deals. And so we break things down fundamentally kind of into like before, during, and after. So there's a famous marketer by the name of Dean Jackson, and he has this framework that he just calls breakthrough DNA. And basically it's before, during, and after. So before means kind of before the sale. This is your marketing to build awareness for your business. The during is actually doing what you do as a business. For this example, it's real estate. So it's analyzing deals, it's structuring offers, it's presenting offers to sellers, it's negotiating, it's following up, it's all that type of stuff. And then after is really, how do you turn, excuse me, a client into a referral, or how do you get, testimonials from clients? How do you continue to deliver value after you've made the sale? In some businesses, that's more important than others. Real estate investing traditionally is a little bit more transactional than some other businesses, but there's still relationship building that can be done after the sale. And that's what I mean by fundamentals.
So, I absolutely love that. And so what's interesting is I get talked all the time with people. So there's a 18-year-old, he's 17, a 17-year-old kid that is talking to me about real estate investing. He likes the idea, watched HGTV, likes the idea of flipping houses and kind of becoming an entrepreneur. And I asked him, I said, well, do you know anything about sales? Have you ever done sales? Have you ever thought about doing sales? It's like, wait, what? It's like, well, A business owner, every business owner, I don't care if you're an electrician, I don't care if you're a real estate investor, I don't care what you are, every business doesn't exist unless a sale happens. So as a business owner, you may be if you're a one-stop shop, you may be a transaction coordinator, you may be your salesperson, you may be your marketer, you're going to have to wear all those hats to start out with. And I said, and that's the one thing that they don't tell you on TV is there is there's a lead generation activity that a salesperson does. Your widget just happens to be real estate, right? And so as I was talking to him through that, he was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, maybe I'd be open to it. But yeah, they like, you kind of forget that step. And so as far as developing your systems for this to kind of get to a predictable lead flow and then predictable conversions and like predictable revenue at the end of the day, what are some of the things that you see people messing up?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, it really depends on kind of where you're at in your journey. But let's just assume most people, if you haven't really taken the time to step back and look at your business and focus on working on your business, usually the big disconnect is between, lead generation and sales. And what I mean by that is, having a predictable and a reliable way to provide your business with leads every single month. Because regardless of how good of an investor you are, or real estate agent you are, or dentist you are, or whatever it is you're doing, if you don't have clients to serve, everything else is kind of a moot point, right? So really where you need to focus first is just having a healthy stream of leads that are coming in the door. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have hundreds of leads coming in the door. You just have to have a healthy supply of leads every month. And that could literally be, 5 or 10 or 15 new leads that you're producing every single month. If your goal is to do a deal a month, you could probably get that done with, 15, 20 leads a month. That doesn't mean on month one, though, you're going to close a deal, right? Because part of the systems that you need to set up is, number one, okay, cool, I've generated the lead. Now I need to make sure that lead is, being delivered to either myself or my sales team or whoever it is in an efficient way, so I can follow up with that lead. Because what I see a lot of business owners doing is you go out and you pay Google to send you traffic to your website, or you go out to a mail house and you say, I want to send out 2,000 letters a month. What ends up happening is you don't have your systems in order. So now what you do is you're just looking for that hot lead that's ready to sell today. And you close on that lead. And then the other 30 or 40 people that called, you kind of try to follow up with them, but you fumble your way through it. And then one other person calls you and they're ready to sell. And so you work on that lead. So now all of a sudden you spent all the...
Yeah. So real quick, shameless plug. If you want more details on following up, episode 005 with Josh, we kind of broke into this in pretty great detail on how to do a couple extra deals a month through the right follow-up system. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. I'll give a quick 30-second kind of pitch on that episode, what we talked about. Basically, for every one deal you close that's a hot lead, you've probably got another 2-3 people in that list of people that have called you that will sell their house in the next 3 to 6 months with just a little bit of follow-up. So now if you're closing, if one person calls you that month that's ready to sell, but another 25 people call you that need a little bit of work, instead of, doubling your marketing budget to close twice as many deals, you can keep your marketing budget the same and just double down on follow-up, because you've spent the money to generate that lead. Now you need to actually work those leads. And so, you asked, like, what are some of the mistakes people make from a fundamental perspective? Number one, it's not having consistent lead flow. Number two is not maximizing the return on the leads that they're getting because you're not following up.
To interject real quick here, it's the SOS, shiny object. Shiny object syndrome, and every entrepreneur has it, and it's not talked about on leads that often, but that's exactly what this problem is that, another new lead, I'm going to go after that new lead, as opposed to, like you mentioned, the 2 or 3 or 20 that are in your queue that are probably lower hanging fruit than that one.
Yeah.
And think, if you think about it, guys, like, think about let's just think linearly here. If there's 10 steps in the sales process, or 5 steps, depending on how you group it together, let's just keep it simple and say 5 steps. Okay. And you spend all your time on step 1, getting in front of new people. Well, you may have 10, 15, 20 people that are on step 3 that, all you have to do is just push them into step 4 and step 5. Well, at that point, you're working really, really hard and not necessarily as smart as you can work, right? So go ahead, Josh. You're going to say something.
Yeah, and the key is, in that episode that Jim was talking about, we broke the sales cycle into like 6 steps, and your sales cycle might be 9 steps, it might be 4, whatever it is. The key is to, piece by piece, put systems around each one of those steps, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? If you want to have the biggest year of your career, the easiest way to do that is make one meaningful small change to your business every single day. And that could literally be, it could literally be creating a very simple drip campaign one day. It could be writing one new email template that can be added to your autoresponder every single day. And that compounding effect of adding one small improvement every day, by the end of the year, that's 365 small improvements, or however many work days there are. It's a couple hundred small improvements to your business, and that makes all the difference over the course of the year.
No, absolutely it does. And so that was one of the biggest mistakes I made starting out, is I was so focused on step 1. It really hurts me to think of all the deals that we could have done in our early years, because we just let that other follow-ups just go, because we didn't have it, or the leads organized. We didn't have it in the right proper system. So that's an interesting step. So, okay, so let's revisit this. So number 1 is the predictable source of leads. Number 2 is the maximum, to maximize like the lead flow. Is there any other fundamentals that you think are just really, really important for us to master to get to success?
Yeah, I think to start, you really need to map out your sales process, right? And if you don't know, maybe you're like, I haven't done a deal yet. Well, work with, folks like Jim and Ryan. I mean, that's why you're on calls like this, to say, what does that sales process look like? And then piece by piece, you need to put small systems around each one of those steps in the sales process. I would probably start with, don't say, okay, I have to have all of this figured out before I go and market, right? Because there are hot deals out there. There are leads to be closed, but I would just make sure that you know how you're going to generate leads. Are they going to come to my website? Are they going to call into a phone number? And then map out what happens when somebody calls in my business. What happens when somebody goes to my website and opts in? And then just make sure you've got that process, dialed in. You've got that process mapped out, because there's all kinds of tiny little processes in a business that need to be mapped out, thought out, and build processes around. But most businesses need to start with consistent lead flow and ensuring that those leads are being followed up with and managed properly, because typically you don't need to generate as many leads as you think to reach your ultimate goal. You're just not following up and maximizing the return on the leads that you're currently generating.
So real quick though, Josh, on that, to that point, and I don't want to say you're wrong. Everything you said was right. Would you also say that really the first question people have to answer is how much business do you envision to do during the course of time? Because that helps then determine your marketing, your systems, your things of that nature that you were discussing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. That really is step one, right? And most people don't stop to ask themselves that. Like, what does success really look like for you? How much money do you need to make every month to achieve your goal? And your goal could be quitting your job. Your goal could be, generating more revenue so you can hire a team. Whatever your goal is, you need to start with that. Let's say you want to make 20 grand a month in top line revenue. Then you say, a deal's worth about $8,000 to me in my market. Well, you need to close 2.5 deals a month. And so how many, roughly back of the napkin math here, how many, offers do I need to make? How many leads do I need to generate? You can kind of work your way back, but that's a great point. I mean, you need to sit there and ask yourself what your ultimate goal is, and you can work backwards from there.
Well, and so this is kind of where the rubber meets the road, because I want to add something into here. Okay. So I've had conversations with a lot of people that say, well, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I have all these different options. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, think about it this way, guys. If you're mapping out like a vacation and you're saying, oh, do I want to go to Hawaii because Hawaii has beaches? Do I want to go to Denver because maybe I want to ski? Do I want to go? Like when you're thinking about the vacation or thinking about the end destination and what that looks like and what the impact on your life's going to be, what you want to actually do on the vacation. Do you know how the heck to get there at that point? Do you know if you're going to fly? Do you know if you're going to drive? If you're going to drive, do you know which highways you're going to take? All of that doesn't matter. Start with the end in mind, okay? And then when you have the right people around you, like, so we have a group of a lot of really quality people that we do life with in our network. Once you know what the end destination is and you get a clarity on the purpose of your business and what it's supposed to do for you, the logistics of how to get there aren't actually that complicated. Because like, if you know where your end in mind is, and then you have some people that are experienced around you that you can ask questions to and say, hey, what do you guys think? Should I do bandit signs or direct mail? Well, what's the purpose of your business? What's the goal? Then I can tell you which way to go, how to pivot or zig or zag. And then it becomes a lot simpler. And the biggest mistake then I see people make, Ryan alluded to it earlier, was the shiny object syndrome. We think that we have to go on YouTube and we have to study for hours and hours and hours. And we start studying all these different options and we get into information overload and it gets so stinking overwhelming. But like at the end of the day, if lead generation and conversions and deals becomes a skill set that you need to develop. And how do you develop skills, guys? If you want to become the world's best free throw shooter, can you read a book about free throws and then go up to the free throw line and shoot one and then all of a sudden be world class? That's absolutely absurd. What you do is you shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of free throws and you get really, really good at it. So if you can get clear on the end vision, you develop the plan or the strategy, and then you have to put all the ideas, the shiny object syndrome, puts a lot of those ideas on the not do list, and then just focus on rep after rep after rep after rep until you develop your skills and get really good at it and have the breakthrough and make the income that you want to at the end of the day. So, I mean, that's a mistake I see a lot of people making. You guys have anything to add on that?
I know. I mean, that's an awesome point. I mean, and you don't have to, you certainly don't have to and shouldn't do every different strategy that you hear, right? With direct or with real estate investing, the fundamentals from a marketing perspective have been laid out for years. I mean, direct mail and bandit signs still work fantastically. Maybe response rates are down a little bit because a lot of people are doing direct mail, but it's a numbers game and there's a lot of money to be made in this business. Like if you were selling backpacks through direct mail, that might not be profitable. The economics might not work out. But if you're going to make $8,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a wholesale or a flip, you can spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on direct mail to generate 120 leads. And guess what? One of those people is probably going to need to sell their house, and they're probably going to need to do it soon. 119 of those people, maybe there's 10 more people, 8 more people, 5 more people that are going to need to sell their house in the next 8 to 10 days. So the easiest way I could break this down is you generate leads, you create ads to generate awareness for your business. You use tools like call tracking numbers, landing pages, and a CRM to capture those leads. And you close the hot ones and you put the rest in a nurture campaign and you follow up. And then the next month you do the same. And so maybe this month you close one deal. If you start marketing, the reality is it's probably going to take you 45 days to close a deal. But whenever you get that first deal closed, you've got one deal done. You've got, let's say, 50 leads in your follow-up system, and then you do it again. Now you've got 2 deals done, and now you've got 100 leads that you're following up with. You do it again, you've got 3 leads done, you've got 150, and now you've got 150 people that are being followed up with, and deals start popping out of that 150. And so now you're able to close 2 deals in month 3 instead of 1, because 1 came from your front end marketing and 1 came from your follow-up. And then it's just a compounding effect over the course of years. And I mean, that's the easiest way to break it down, I think.
So I'll add something to what both of you guys just said. So if you're listening to this in the future, currently there's a little something going on in the stock market called short squeezing, and there's a lot of short sales, and it's all relates to GameStop and things of that nature. Why I bring that up, why it's pertinent in my opinion, is because marketing can be that what's next out there, what's really working. Everyone wants to find this secret sauce, this hidden gem. Jim kind of alluded to it as well, is like knowing the end game allows you to have clarity on what not to do. Well, GameStop, it sounds great, and there's a lot of people that made some money. There's a lot of people that lost a lot of money because they didn't know what they were doing. And it's a great analogy to real estate. You can spend so much money on marketing and not have the right steps after marketing that you're going to lose. And it's just being able to understand what you're doing, where your business is going, allows you to look at a GameStop and say, nope, I'm not interested, because I know I have that pipeline. I know I have that compounding effect that you just talked about, Josh.
Yeah. And it is a huge stress relief and like a weight off your shoulders when you can just look at something and not spend the mental energy to have to like feel like you're missing out on an opportunity. Because the best investment you can make in your business is, in this example, more direct mail and doubling down on follow-up. Getting more leads in the front door and making sure that I'm squeezing every ounce of ROI out of those leads. And it's fun and exciting sometimes to do something like, pay-per-click marketing, because it's a little bit more exciting sounding and it works really well, but you have to know what you're doing. There's a lot of money to be made, but there's also a lot of money to be lost if you don't do it right. And from a ease of implementation and ease of understanding, direct mail is pretty easy to understand.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. We have a friend, Ryan, Darren Hefkin, and he told me, this was a couple of years after we had this conversation. He said, Jim, the best advice you ever gave me was that success is boring.
Yeah.
Just do the same thing repeatedly over and over again. If you want to shoot those free throws that I just talked about, honestly, the 999th free throw that you shoot is probably pretty freaking boring, right? But they are getting to the end result that you want. And Darren said, I was doing flips, I was doing rentals, I was doing additions, I had all sorts of stuff going on. And I took a step back and I said, what do I do really good? And in Darren's case, he's an excellent landlord, has a property management company. And he says, well, this is my niche. This is what I'm really good at. And I'm going to say no to literally anything and everything else that doesn't fit within this box. And fast forward a couple of years and the guy's got, I don't even know what he's got now, Ryan. Have you talked to him lately? But I think he's probably got at least 80 rentals, and he has a good management company going, and he can just kind of manage what he's got and maybe pick up one or two here or there, and he's kind of set. But what he did was, it wasn't sexy. It wasn't like going after the next shiny object that you hear online or you hear on a different podcast on how exciting that a 18-year-old bought a land deal and made $1 million in 5 days. And, he set his vision. His purpose was passive income for his business. And he said no to everything else. And he just nailed that niche. And literally every time we're in mastermind groups, we're in a lot of different things, and I'll meet high-level people doing a lot of deals. And typically, without fail, the most successful people can explain what their business is in one sentence, exactly what they're doing. And when I talk to some other people, it sounds sexier. It sounds like what they're doing is cooler than the other individual that's way more successful. And then when you actually look into the numbers and look into the financials and what their business is doing, everybody, not 100% of the people would take the boring business that's really financially profitable compared to the person that sounds cool in their business. There's like some underlying issues there typically. So we went on a little bit of a tangent here. We were originally going to be talking about some call tracking. So when we're doing the lead gen, why don't we kind of pivot into that a little bit on the importance of tracking